So it's a game that I play, a little bit of a devil's advocate. Whenever I used to, being human, I used to point at other people and say, you don't see the full perspective, so you believe one thing, but I have another point of view, and let me explain to you how both can have validity. And then, of course, one day I realized that perhaps I should use this on my own pet projects and my own beliefs that I hold very dear and have a grip around, a tight, tight fist around my own beliefs. And that's a little harder to allow for the possibility that there's another perspective and that I could be wrong. But it's tremendous spiritual exercise to undergo, to play as devil's advocate with yourself. And this is why in finding our distortions, that's the positive of finding them. How can you fix what you cannot see? So I use another lecture when I teach. I use the lecture 127, which is the 4 stages of evolution. And what that lecture talks about is 4 points. And the first 4 stages. The first stage is automatic reflex. And that means you don't know. If you don't know, you're being mean. You can't do a lot about it. The second stage is awareness. And that's where you become aware that you're being mean. Notice you're still being mean, but awareness begins to come through. And that's what happens when we train children, when we raise children. We're trying to bring to them an awareness of a larger set of needs, or a larger set of priorities, or a larger world than just, I want my biscuit now. So you have automatic reflex where you don't know what's going on. It means you can't do anything about it. Then you have awareness. And all awareness shows you is that something's not right. It's painful when it's not right, and you don't know what to do about it yet. Then the third stage is understanding. These aren't discrete. There's no hard, thick magic marker line between these stages. They're very, very fluid. And they're not only very fluid, they happen, you can be in different stages in different aspects of your life on this. And the third stage is understanding. And it is in the understanding that we can soften the pain of awareness. Where you can learn, yes, I am being mean, but you know what? I'm not mean all the time. But I am mean in a particular situation, and I'm going to begin the process of understanding why I'm triggered to be mean in a given situation. And the last stage in Lecture 127's 4 stages is knowing. And in the knowing, it's like the psychic nuclear point. In the knowing, we're done. I know I'm mean on occasion. I understand it. I have done things about it. When people bring it to my awareness, I will act immediately on it because I understand completely that it is possible. I have an understanding of where it comes from, and I have an understanding of how to support and counteract this unfortunate tendency of mine to be selfish in a given circumstance. So what I'm reaching for here is that it isn't the inherent issue. It isn't the inherent distortion. It's not who you are or where you came from. It's not where you've been headed or where you've... nothing is inherently positive or negative. And it can all be dealt with. It can all be worked with. It's all material. But in order for you to understand why you're behaving in a certain way, you may need some information. And some of that information goes back to childhood, and some of it goes back to yesterday. So the example was given on submitting and selling something to somebody you care about at a lower price. Such a simple little thing. But if you've done it once, you may have done it 20 times, and you may not have caught the other 19. But just because you don't remember the other 19 doesn't mean you're not irritated by them. You cannot intellectually remember 19 other incidents. But emotionally, whenever a situation comes up again, it's like Pavlovian dog stuff. You're programmed to think, this is going to hurt. I'm going to sell myself out. This is going to be unpleasant. This is going to even get worse. In that moment of awareness, and the moment that was described was very luscious, because not only was awareness realized, but there was an understanding. This is not a good thing. This is not a simple thing. This is not a small thing. And giving in on this is not real love. So let's go back to a moment to the distortion of submission. When I give in to you, I'm not being me. And so what am I giving you? I'm giving you a mask. I'm giving you an image. And because I'm a full-blooded human being, there's a part of me that knows that and resents it. So I'm not only not giving you me, I'm setting up an area of resentment in me that could affect our future relationship together. That's not a loving thing to do. Now, if you move over into power, from the position of wanting power so that I won't be helpless, because I've decided helpless is bad and no good will come of it and I will be destroyed. You've got to get that it's not just helpless, it's that other series of attitudes attached to it. So if I give in to you, I become more and more helpless, and I lose ground. And so, lost my point for a second. Happens sometimes. Just comes on me. Let me breathe for a second. So we're talking about how that's not really loving to submit. It's also not loving to try to take care of yourself and your own helplessness under the guise of strength when we say that's for somebody else. That's why I lost it, because it's a little confusing. It's a little kind of, I call them double backflips. So when I exercise power and I say it's for the good of all, and the truth is it's not for the good of all, it's for the good of me, that's also not loving. That doesn't allow me to be me. And if, for instance, I took leadership with that attitude, you would have a leader that you wouldn't really know. So there's a bit of a con job going on there. So these are where these attributes that could be used for good, that could be used neutrally or positively, when they're used negatively, they don't serve the person using them, and they don't serve others.